let's talk about vision and 2022. How do you manifest success? Do you just think positively? Well, for Miss Manifester, that doesn't fly. Also known as Esther, is a manifestation coach and hacking reality practitioner. She joins me to tell me how it's done. Good afternoon, Esther. My first question is, what is a hacking reality? It sounds ghastly.
It's wild, doesn't it? It sounds really, it doesn't sound very, I've got to be honest, it doesn't sound very credible, really, does it? It's about going back to childhood memories that are influencing the way in which we show up today. And when you work with those childhood memories and heal those decisions, then it creates possibilities in our future that otherwise we might not have taken. So that's what it is, without the kind of super woo-woo title attached to it.
It also sounds like it demands a lot of imagination. To be able to do it. Hey, listen, this is your business. I celebrate the fact that you got a business, girl. That's all I'm saying.
Thank you.
So let's talk about the whole idea around vision boards. What are they in the first case?
A vision board can be, made practically from, a cork board and then cutting out images, or it can be made digitally. But ultimately, it's a potent visual representation of the growth and the goals that you want to achieve over the next year, whether that is emotionally, spiritually, physically, or materialistically.
Okay, so that's very clear. And is it something that you have to suddenly create on a big piece of paper, or can you use technology to aid you?
You can use technology, and sometimes it's easier. We don't all have access to a printer unless we're, being cheeky and, using the office printer. So sometimes it's easier to just make something using a collage app on your phone. But the main thing is putting it somewhere visible where you're going to keep it as a rolling exercise. I think for a lot of people, a vision board gets created at the start of the year. It's the same as resolutions. Oh, it sounds really nice. Let's stick a few pictures on a board and hope something happens. And actually, it's something that needs to play a more active role in your year.
Right. Okay. So don't just leave it to one side. You've done it on day one.
No.
And then never come back to it. Because see, that would be me. I'd be like, well, I've done the vision now, etc. But leave it by the side. So give us some first steps that people need to do.
The first thing that I really recommend to people, I think, especially in the current climate that we're in, but this is what I would advise to people anyway, is we are all seeking a desired emotional state. Yeah. It's all about us feeling satisfied and content or joyful, happy, connected. And I think it's really important to identify where the kind of gaps are in your life at the moment. Maybe you don't feel like you're having enough fun. I think a lot of us have felt like that over the last couple of years. And then setting your intentions around the way that you want to feel, rather than just saying, I want this handbag or I want this car. And it's okay if you do. Of course, it's fine if you want, a nice holiday or you want nice things, but it's super important to understand the emotions that you want to back those up. Mm-hmm. And then throughout your year, asking yourself, on a regular basis, am I feeling these feelings? Because this was what was important to me at the start of 2022, or whenever it is that you're making a vision board. It's not just for January.
And it's not just for creatives, is it?
No, it's for anybody who, has a vision of something that they want to bring into this world. And for some people, especially, people who aren't creative, they may actually struggle to visualize, when we close our eyes and we see images in our minds. Not everybody actually has that ability. So it's really, really helpful to be able to put those images to paper and to be able to look back at that and say, am I working towards this? Because like I said, so many people just say, oh yeah, I want this. I'll stick an image on and I'm manifesting it, baby. Yeah, it's going to just come to me. And it's not that at all. If we're going to take the term law of attraction, you have to put action in. It's a balance of knowing when you need to show up for your goals and the things that you need to do to move those along as well.
It sounds like it's also important to activate your imagination, because one presumes it's more like a muscle than anything else.
Yes, I think your imagination is like a muscle, but I think you only dream as big as you are able to dream. Right. You have to believe that what you want is actually possible for you, and that's what's really holding most people back, which is where we come into that hacking reality thing that we had a giggle about at the start. But it's these beliefs that we form about whether it's about ourselves or the world that really put a limit, an upper limit on what we believe is possible for us. And yes, we can, dream big, but there may be a little voice inside that says, actually, that's not going to happen. So it's about activating your imagination, but I always recommend to people start with what is believable for you, so that you can start to actually make some progress and take your journey, break it down brick by brick into stepping stones, so that you can actually start to see your progress rather than focusing on an end goal and having kind of no way of measuring that you're moving towards that.
And measuring, or being able to measure it, must be such a key thing, because then that keeps you engaged and enthusiastic about the goal that you have.
Of course, but I think for a lot of people, especially, I know you said success at the start, a lot of people measure their success by momentum and the speed in which they are moving, or, particular accolades or little things like this. And we need to learn to be able to measure our success by, all the little things that we do, that we put in towards our dreams, and even you can feel successful just by getting up and saying, today I managed to get all my washing done. Today I managed to get the house clean. It's really acknowledging and self-celebrating yourself on a daily basis and realizing that you're doing an amazing job, rather than looking at all the things that you haven't achieved yet. And the truth is, the journey's never done. There's always going to be more that we can achieve. So we need to be able to take stock of how far we've come, really.
And what do you think or make of mantras, things that people say either on a daily or weekly basis in order to encourage that sense of moving forward?
100%. Mantras and affirmations work really, really well. And I think it's important to put them on your vision board, because then every time you pass your vision board or you look at it, you get that prompt to repeat it, because just like all habits, it's quite easy for mantras and affirmations to fall off the bandwagon. But I also recommend to a lot of people listening to subliminals or listening to things on YouTube, so that it's just going into your programming. It's about you starting to embody that mantra and that energy and how it shows up in your life, and truly feeling it. Everything is about feeling. And it's very easy for us to say things like, I am rich. But if there's a little piece of you that says, no, I'm not, it just feels like a lie. So it's about you being able to really connect into that feeling of all the ways in your life in which you already are rich before you receive the things that you're asking for. And
so are you a big believer in the things like The Secret? Because at one point The Secret came out and it took over the world.
Yeah, it's huge. Yeah, I am a believer in it. I'm not, poo-pooing on it, but at the same time, it garnered that real mantra of thoughts create things, but think positive, attract positive, think negative, attract negative. And I don't think it's that black and white. And I think that's quite reductionistic sometimes, and it can become a little bit unhealthy when people then actually start to feel blame and shame for when they're experiencing difficult emotions. And there is a time and a place for a lot of difficult human emotions that we experience, like grief, which is obviously rife right now in the environment that we're in. So yes, of course I believe in it, but I think it's more about believing that you're worthy, no matter what kind of day you're having or what struggles you're going through, really.
How did you get involved in this business?
So I had come from a Christian upbringing. Mm-hmm. Manifestation wasn't something that was a part of that, but I know for a lot of Christian people it is. And I really moved away from that for a while, and I ended up going for a divorce. And then I ended up discovering the work of Abraham Hicks. And I thought there's definitely some truth in this. And I went back and looked back at my life and dissected it. And I realized patterns that were playing out in my life and things that were just going around in circles because I was constantly attracting the same types of things. And then it went from there, really. I didn't have any intention of becoming a manifestation coach. I ended up going into coaching in the workplace, and then it all kind of snowballed from there, really. This is not a conversation that if you'd asked me a few years ago, I did not think I would be having this conversation with anybody.
And who's Abraham Hicks?
Oh my goodness. Abraham Hicks is Esther Hicks, and she channels divine guidance on the law of attraction. And I think she was in The Secret originally, but she wasn't in the end. I think she pulled out of it. But yeah, she's a massive authority on law of attraction and manifestation.
Well, I've learned something.
Girl, where you been?
I've learned something new today. Oh, now, give us your website for anyone who's interested in the work that you do.
Oh, bless you. It's missmanifester.com, and Manifester is spelled Manifesther. That was me being, very clever.
It's very clever.
When I came up with my brand name.
It's very clever. What a joy to speak to you. Thank you ever so much for joining us, Esther, who is a manifestation coach.